you.
Good morning. I see Danielle is here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to mention that Leanne is going to be logging on, but from her phone while she drops her child at school, and her ride failed her this morning, and she'll be on with us from a computer by 7:50.
No, that's great. Yeah. So we won't be done ready for her.
Exactly.
Then.
Exactly.
So that's fine.
Will not be a problem.
Okay, Monique, do you see Sherry Wells is here? I don't know if you put an M on her. Liz Bauer is just joining. Good morning, Liz.
Good morning.
Morning, all.
For those of you just joining, you may notice that Monique is going on and putting an M after your name. That will help us as we go through our annual meeting business to be able to see who are members so that we can make sure we keep our vote tabs correct. So Zoom user, you've got an M after your name as well as a member.
Okay, I have a question, Monique. Usually I can get everybody's face on my iPad, or at least everyone whose face is showing, and I can't now. Is there a reason?
I think that has to do with the fact that we're using slides. So towards the end, when we do you see the slide that has
Yeah, I
picture of the
do.
board? Okay, good.
Okay,
Once we're done with this part of the meeting, then we'll move on to the presentation, and you'll see the presenters. And then when we do networking, I think we will fall back to an image of everyone's face, all the little faces on the screen.
okay, so I can eat my breakfast and you won't know.
Exactly.
Sounds good to me.
There's a little arrow at the bottom, Shelley, where you can click it and it'll show all the other panels that aren't in view right now.
Liz, I'm not working on a computer. I'm working on an iPad, so it's a lot different. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's you learn to adjust. My computer is older than you are, Liz. So it does not have a camera and it does not have a microphone. So I've been using my iPad for a year and a half. Okay, or about.
Well, good morning, everyone. I think we're going to just take a quick roll count here, and then it looks like we should be able to get started. Is that correct here, Monique, in terms of numbers of members we have?
Yes.
I
Sorry.
think we have 24 participants and one of them is not yet labeled.
Not a member, but a participant.
Yes. Okay. Well, then we have 22 confirmed members right now.
Okay, great. Well, in the interest of time, I think we're going to have people that will be continuing to join over the next few minutes. But I think that we can go ahead and get started. So good morning, everyone. I am going to officially call to order the annual meeting of the Women Officials Network Foundation. So if everyone will please come to order. And that's my gavel strike. You heard it. So the purpose of the annual meeting is to conduct important business for the Women Officials Network Foundation. So I'm Nancy Philippart, the president of this organization, and it's a pleasure for me to welcome you this morning. I want you to be aware that consistent with longstanding practice, this meeting is being recorded, and we will be posting the recording to the Women Officials Network Foundation website. At this time, I would like to introduce you to the current Women Officials Network Foundation Board of Directors. So board members, will you please unmute your mic, and when your name is called, just say hello and give a wave so everyone can see you. We do have a couple members who are not able to be with us this morning, but I will still give their names. So our VP of Development, Lane Sakwa, she's unable to be with us this morning. But with us is our VP of Leadership, Deb Macon.
Good morning.
Our VP of Programs, Jerry Rinchler.
Good morning. Great to see you all.
Eileen Polker, our Treasurer.
Good morning.
Our Secretary, Margaret Scott.
Morning, everyone.
Director, Janice Berry.
Good morning, everybody.
Director Jennifer Callahan was not able to be with us this morning. Director Kristen Nielsen Hartig.
Good morning.
Director Marianne McClellan.
Good morning.
Director Coco Seward.
Good morning.
Director Laura Vogel. Yep, I guess maybe she's not here yet, but I know she's coming. And Director Danielle Walton.
Morning. Love to see all the scarves.
Great. I do want to acknowledge and thank two of the members of our board that will be retiring this year. We give our sincerest thanks to Director Brenda Carter for her service this year, and also to our Secretary, Margaret Scott. And Margaret's job is not done yet. We're still putting her to work for this annual meeting, but
Got my pen.
she did a great job this year in keeping us up to date with her minutes and reports. So a little bit of our agenda. The first portion of this meeting is our business portion. But when we conclude with that, we're going to be hearing from two inspirational leaders in the public sector. We're pleased to have the Superintendent of Southfield School District, Dr. Jennifer Green, and the Director of the Oakland County Department of Health, Leanne Stafford. And both of those women will be sharing some of their leadership insights, particularly from the difficult year of 2020. And then when we conclude, we will move into WAN's networking tradition. And so we would ask each of you to give a few moments to think about your brief introduction, and as time permits, you'll probably get about 20 seconds or maybe a 50-word elevator pitch to introduce yourself. So let's start. Several appointments are in order before we actually get into the business of the meeting. This will keep us efficient and productive. So Margaret Scott, our secretary, is monitoring the participant list to verify that a quorum is present. Margaret, is 20% of the membership present?
Yes, a quorum is present.
Great. Eileen Polker and Monique McGee are going to serve as tellers, and they are going to be monitoring the hand raise feature, as well as being the host and co-host of this Zoom meeting. Janice Berry is going to serve as timekeeper. As we get into the business of the meeting, members will be able to comment if they so desire, and we ask you to limit your comments to 1 minute. Janice has a buzzer that will serve as a signal when 15 seconds are remaining and when time has expired. So because she did such a yeoman's job of finding the buzzer, we're going to ask her to play it so that you'll be able to hear it. So Janice, can you sound the buzzer? I did not hear the buzzer.
Janice, unmute, please.
Are you there, Janice?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I couldn't hit the unmute. Can you?
Okay.
Kiddo.
All right.
Sorry about
So
that.
now you know what the buzzer sounds like. Okay. So obviously we're 100% online. We're all using Zoom technology. So we want to give just a brief explanation. We'll be using the hand raise feature at different points in the meeting. So you might want to take a moment and make sure on your system that you know how to raise your hand. So please use this feature when we ask There will be points when we say, you know, if there's something you need to do, you can raise your hand. Also, to minimize distractions, we're asking that people only use the chat function to communicate with Eileen or Monique on technical matters. And then finally, Coco Seward will be serving as our parliamentarian. Okay, so now we are going to go to our first item of business, and that is adoption of the annual meeting rules. For reference, the tellers have placed a link in the annual meeting chat, a link to the packet that you should have all received in the chat box. These annual meeting rules appeared in Exhibit A in the packet that was emailed to you prior to the meeting. So please indicate by a raise of your hand if you have any objection to the annual meeting rules. So again, only if you have an objection, please use the hand raise feature to raise your hand. And I'll give everybody a minute. Okay, tellers, do you see any raised hands?
I do not.
Great. So with no further objections, the annual meeting rules are adopted. So the next item of business is approval of the minutes of the annual meeting, and the chair recognizes Secretary Margaret Scott.
Thank you, Nancy. At this time, I move to approve the minutes from the annual meeting dated June 12, 2020, as provided by email prior to this meeting.
Thank you, Margaret. Is there a second?
I'm Yolanda Charles. I second.
Thank you, Yolanda. So you should see on the screen a facsimile as a reference of the motion. And just a reminder, all members present today may vote on this motion. You did not have to be in attendance at the 2020 annual meeting to vote. So it has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the annual meeting on June 12, 2020. You should see the Zoom poll, so please register your vote. Hit the button, and after you have voted, make sure you click the submit button on the bottom in order to register your vote. Just a reminder, all voting today will be anonymous. So please go ahead and vote. Okay. Eileen, can you share the results with us, please?
All right, we have 26. Let's share those results. 26 yes and 0 no's.
Great. The 2020 annual meeting minutes are adopted.
Okay.
Thank you. If there are no objections, the chair appoints 3 members to serve as the minutes reading committee. So Coco Seward, Kirsten Hardig, and Jerry Rinchler will read and review the annual meeting minutes from this meeting, the 2021 meeting, and report to the board of directors for adoption of the minutes at the first board meeting in the next fiscal year. Okay, moving on, the next item is the president's report. And you can go to the next slide, please. So I think you all know that this has been an incredibly challenging year for all, but I wanted to take a moment to share a year in review from the Women's Officials Network. But because despite the challenge of having to do everything 100% virtual this year, this organization has really been able to adhere to the theme that we established last year, which was showing up for each other to support our mission of promoting and supporting women leaders in the public sector. Next slide.
Okay.
So we had 5 areas that we focused on as an organization this past year. Of course, our programming, that theme of finding ways, even in a virtual environment, to support and encourage each other, while at the same time trying to develop partnerships with organizations that supported our mission. We also did have an additional opportunity that we are pursuing and launched to engage women in the public sector in a different way other than running for office. And at the same time, improving the value to all of you, our members, of being part of this organization. If people could put themselves on mute, or Eileen, maybe you can mute people because I'm getting a lot of background noise. With regard to programming, we were able to hold 4 virtual breakfasts this past year, including the one that we are at now. We started last September, really setting the theme for the year with member Beth Talbert talking to us about showing up for each other and women supporting women. In January, we had a very impactful panel and a very relevant and time relevant topic on civility in a toxic environment, panel that was chaired by, facilitated by member Ann Merven with 2 of our state rep members, Mari Manugian and Andrea Schroeder. In March, in conjunction with launching our new initiative on appointments, we had members of the Michigan Women's Commission and the state appointments process talk to us about the opportunities for women in appointed positions. And then here we are today, and later on, you're going to hear our 2 guest speakers talk about some of the challenges that they had as they navigated the COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide. In terms of support and encouragement, we felt it was very important, particularly in this difficult year, to find ways to come together just to share and celebrate events. So last August, we were fortunate to have many of you join us in the 100th anniversary celebration of the 19th Amendment. In December, we got together to do a celebratory toast for all of those brave women who threw their hat in the ring and ran for office. In March, we held virtually our traditional March Gladness to celebrate everything about women empowerment for Women's History Month. And then we were able to conduct one training this year, and you'll see this theme going forward on nuts and bolts training, but this was some further information on appointments at the local level. Next slide. In terms of new partnerships, we were able to really create 2 this year. We partnered with a youth development organization called Women of Tomorrow. This is a mentoring and scholarship organization that works with high school girls, particularly focused on underserved girls throughout the metropolitan area. And we partnered on a program with them called Your Voice Matters. You can see we had many of our members in various elected capacities that served on a panel with over 80 girls in attendance. This was again all virtually. And then after each panelist made her remarks, they were able to go into Zoom breakout rooms with smaller groups of girls where girls could ask them all kinds of questions about what they did on a day-to-day basis, running for office, anything that was on their mind. So that was quite a successful event, and we look forward to continuing to work with Women of Tomorrow in the future. And then our partnership with the Michigan Women's Commission, you'll be hearing a little bit more about that, but they have proven to be a great partner as we look to help more women get into appointed positions in the state. So one of our most important initiatives that we launched this year is our Gateway to Leadership, which originally started out being called the Appointments Project, but we've named this Gateway to Leadership because this is yet another way that women, particularly women who may not be so inclined to want to run for public office, that it enables them an opportunity to still serve in the public sector by applying for appointed positions. We're very proud of the fact that under Janice Berry's leadership, we were able to work with the Michigan Women's Commission to post all of the available appointments that the state has. And we are in the process of working with local communities and assembling all of the local appointments. Just a heads up, we also have access to the Plum Book that will enable us to also look at national appointments. The picture that you see here, we're very proud of. Our member, WAN member Dima El Gamal, did successfully go through the state appointment process, and she will be serving as a member of the Engineering Licensing Board at the state level. So very important initiative. Next slide. And of course, increasing member value is very important. Many of you may know that we fielded a survey last fall, and we had, I think about 35 members respond to that, and that input was very helpful in our decision making. What we did find out is that those of you that responded said, keep doing what we're doing. The activities that we do reflect our mission, and that the reason that you attend our programs and our events is because you want to support each other in public leadership as well as network. Many of you said, continue to provide virtual participation even when the pandemic is over, and host events at different times and locations in order to increase member engagement. Networking continues to be very highly appreciated by our members. We were asked if we could furnish a directory in order to facilitate member connections outside of formal events. Encouraged to partner with other organizations that supported our mission. There was an ask for some training and recommendations that we continue mentoring and also try to bring more young women into the organization to ensure that, we have a continuous leadership pipeline. We did ask you what you thought about our dues, and not surprisingly, some of you said that the dues were just right, our $35 a year. Others said, we're the best bargain around, and that we should increase our dues. And then there were some comments on future considerations, things like expanding our programming to include current policy issues that impact women, and a recommendation of potentially doing some affinity groups for women and members who have an interest in diversity, equity, and inclusion or public education. And then we had just launched our new website, and people said they were, satisfied with the email communication and our new website. And speaking of our new website, we're very proud of this website, and thanks to our capable administrator, Monique McGee, for the good work that she's done here. Not only is it attractive, it's more user-friendly on the front end, but for our purposes, it is really user-friendly on the back end that you don't see. So it becomes much easier for us to update and post things and better serve you. And we're very proud this past spring, we did launch our member directory. So thanks to all of you who went online and posted your picture. There is a bio form. You can put as much or as little information as you want to share. This is password protected, so only members have access to this. But this is a great way for you to be able to connect with other members outside of our events. We have launched new membership categories this year. So based on the feedback that we got from members, we decided to keep our general membership unchanged at $35. We believe very strongly that we want this organization to be accessible, and so keeping dues as low as possible so that anyone who wants to join is able to was really important to us. As we try now to move forward and focus on youth, we have launched a new membership category for those under 25 years of age, a $10 membership, which will allow us to focus and recruit college and high school students. And then we've created a new category called a sustaining member. And that membership category is for those of you who are willing and able to contribute $100 or more to support our mission of advancing women's leadership in the public sector. All of these membership categories, have access to the same benefits. And we like to say we've added a few more benefits. So clearly access to influential and experienced women leaders that are willing to support and mentor other women who want to serve in the public sector is our main benefit. But we're proud now that we have the membership directory so people can connect with each other. Of course, as a WAN member, you get reduced price for all of our events and timely notification of what's going on. I do want to acknowledge, and my scarf keeps falling off, but for those of you that might see me, here is our scarf. You see the picture on the screen. This was a twofold purpose. It was the scarf sale served as a fundraiser. You're all aware that we were unable to host or have been unable to host our Wonder Woman banquet, which is our signature recognition and fundraising event. So we've lost revenue, and you'll see that when Eileen Polker goes through the budget, that we were unable to bring in revenue last year because of that. So the scarf idea was an opportunity to have some fun with this beautiful scarf that commemorates the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, and to help us supplement some of the revenue lost from the Wonder Woman banquet. But it also allowed us to support a women's collective in India. This collective is a fair wage group where women get, $10 an hour, which is a good wage in India, in order to make these scarves and use that money to support their families and their communities. I will say that we still have a limited quantity of these available for purchase on the website. As a WAN member, you get a very good price on this 100% pure silk scarf. So that's kind of where we were last year. I would be remiss if I did not thank the committee leaders for, our VP of program, Jerry Rinchler, who did, an awesome job. Deb Macon, who did a lot of support work. You'll hear from Deb later today, but also lent a lot of support to the pop-up celebrations and the training, and Janice Berry, who has been leading our Gateway to Leadership initiative. So a lot of great work by those program chairs. So what's ahead for this organization? I remain incredibly optimistic about the power of what this group of women can do. Our focus for the coming year is to continue to offer you high quality programming. We're hoping that some of this programming can be face-to-face as we move into the fall. But we also want to continue this idea of support and encouragement. So we will be hosting celebrations and what we like to call pop-ups. These pop-ups are, just opportunities for us to get together. Sometimes they have a theme, a celebration theme, but it really is an opportunity for us to get together to support each other. One thing we will be doing next year is putting greater emphasis on training. You will hear in our bylaws discussion, which is coming up later on the agenda, because of the importance of training and the emphasis on training, we want to make training a separate subcommittee with resources in the organization to further develop more training opportunities. We are committed to developing a mix of in-person and virtual events to provide increased access. One thing I failed to mention is that our membership has actually grown during the pandemic. And some of that, I think, is because being able to do things virtually is convenient for people. And so we need to be able to preserve that, develop the mix of in-person and virtual. We're going to grow our Gateway to Leadership program, as well as our partnership with state and local governments in order to increase the number of women that are appointed in public service. We will be resuming our Wonder Woman banquet in the fall of 2021. So we do not plan to do that this year. So we have a great need to continue to diversify our revenue as we ultimately make plans next year for our signature recognition and fundraising event. We will continue to build partnerships with organizations, but in particular this coming year, we want to focus on mentoring and girl partnerships. So the new partnership with Women of Tomorrow. We've had a strong partnership over the years with the Girl Scouts, and we will re-energize that partnership, as well as others. And so this is an area where, if you have connections with high schools, colleges, organizations where we can encourage young women to get engaged and find their voice, we would appreciate that. We really want to leverage that younger woman, that younger member category. And then last but not least, and probably the most important objective as we go forward, is better member engagement. Many of you know, certainly those of you who have ever served on this board know that we're a pretty hands-on board, and we're a group of women who roll up our sleeves, decide what needs to be done, and go get it done. What we do know is if there are more of us rolling up our sleeves, this organization can do even more things and help more women achieve their goal of being engaged in public leadership. So we can do more with member participation, and we invite you as members of the organization to get involved, whether it's in supporting an initiative, on a committee, bringing in new members, helping us work with younger members, raising your hand to be on the board in the future. And to that point, you will see later on in the agenda another change to our bylaws in terms of how we are approaching the Leadership Committee. The Leadership Committee is a very important committee whose purpose is to develop a pipeline of members to help us with our initiatives, serving on committees, board succession. And so when the members of the Leadership Committee call, please take their phone call. So in summary, it's been a great year despite a lot of challenges. We have grown membership, we have increased programming, we have been able to be very present even though it's all 100% virtual. As we move forward, we're looking forward to maybe a more normal year ahead, but we certainly appreciate you as our members and welcome and encourage your continued participation. So with that, that is my report, and we will move on to Eileen Polker, who will be providing the treasurer's report and the treasurer's report and the 2021 budget approval. Eileen?
Morning, everyone. We have the treasurer's report was emailed prior to the annual meeting, and the first please refer to Exhibit C for the treasurer's report. There we go. While the one fiscal year is through June 30th, this report is inclusive of transactions through May 31st. That's the last bank statement that we could reconcile it to. And please note that there were no in-person meetings, so no charges for meetings or any resulting expenses, and no Wonder Woman event was held within the last year. And scarves were purchased for resale as a fundraiser. Many have been sold, and as Nancy mentioned, some still remain, so you can still buy them on the website. That's it for the treasurer's report.
Okay. With no objections, the treasurer's report will be filed for audit.
Okay.
Now, Eileen will present the proposed 21-22 WAN Foundation budget for adoption.
All right, a copy of the proposed 21-22 budget appears as Exhibit D in the annual meeting packet. The entire board served as the Finance Committee, and key assumptions that were used for the development of this budget were that there would be no Wonder Woman event until the fall of 2022. So that will fall into our next budget year. In-person meetings may be able to be held as schools reopen and will positively impact our revenue, and scarf sales remain as a revenue source. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move the adoption of the WAN Foundation budget as presented.
Thank you, Eileen. And since this is being moved by the Finance Committee, the motion needs no second. So Eileen, will you please introduce the poll? Great. So members, you will vote on adoption of the budget using the poll in front of you. This should be poll D1, and don't forget to hit the submit button to register your vote. Okay. Eileen?
All right. We have share results. We have 24 yes and 0 no.
Thank you. So the budget is adopted. Okay, thank you, Eileen. The next item of business is the report of the bylaw committee. Coco Seward has served as the chair and will present the report. Coco?
Thank you very much. And I begin with thanks to,
Coco?
I'm sorry?
Okay, we couldn't hear you at first.
Thank you very much. And I begin with thanks to the members of my committee, Eileen Pulker and Danielle Walton, for a job well done. The First Amendment is presented and is in 3 parts. And I will present those 3 parts. The first one is to strike up to, so that the bylaw will read, the board will consist of 15 members and 9 directors and 6 officers. And you will see as we go that this is because now we have a specific number on the board of directors. The change in Article 4 is to insert 4 directors shall be elected in even numbered years and 5 directors shall be elected in odd numbered years. And this is because we are now going to a situation where we will have the officers as a group and the directors staggered. This will give us the opportunity to have more continuity on the board, but still maintain the team approach of the officers. And in Article 5, we will suggest that the officers will be elected for 2-year terms, which is way directors are. And the fact that the directors and the officers were on different years of terms was presenting some not only continuity, but just organizational challenge. So those are the 3 changes that are in the first motion.
Okay.
And the question is, shall these 3, yes, go ahead, President.
No, go ahead and you can state the motion and then I'll ask for discussion.
Shall these 3 amendments recommended by the Bylaws Committee be approved?
Okay, thank you, Coco. So we're going to take these one at a time for discussion. So I would ask, is there any discussion on the First Amendment, which is the striking of the phrase up to? If you have any discussion, please raise your hand. And if your hand is raised and I can't see you because I don't see you all on my screen at the same time, feel free to unmute yourself and speak up. Okay, I don't see any hand raised. Is there any discussion on the Second Amendment to amend by inserting 4 directors shall be elected in even number years and 5 directors shall be elected in odd number years? So any discussion on that amendment? Okay, I don't see any hands. And then finally, is there any discussion on the Third Amendment to in even numbered years at the meeting and the strike the 1 year and insert 2 years after the terms for the officers? Any discussion on that amendment? Okay, I don't see that. So the 3 amendments should be now showing on your screen as poll E1. And again, if you go ahead and vote, you should see poll E1.
Oh, poll results, hold on.
That's the results. We need the poll.
I know.
So it should be poll E1.
Okay.
You have a hand, Nancy.
Yes, go ahead, Yolanda.
Oh, it's Coco.
Oh. I'm sorry, did somebody have a question or a hand?
Maybe inadvertent. No worries. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, you should now see poll E1. And so if you would please vote on the 3 amendments as a package. Again, mark your bubble and hit submit. We'd appreciate that. And Eileen,
Okay,
go ahead and
that's
report
it.
when it's filled.
Oh, one more. All right, looks like we have, let's see, we'll share. We have 28 yes and 0 no.
Great. So the package of the first three amendments has been adopted. Coco, will you please continue?
Yes, thank you very much. The next article for consideration is before you. And this, did not have any term limit in the, which is such an interesting conversation that we won't go into, but we did not have any term limits in the bylaws. And this is the addition of an officer or director may serve 3 consecutive terms and shall be entitled to serve again after a 2-year period has elapsed.
Okay.
And the motion before you is, shall this amendment recommended by the board be approved?
Okay, thank you, Coco. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend by inserting an officer or director may serve 3 consecutive terms and shall be entitled to serve again after a 2-year period has elapsed? If you have any discussion, please go ahead and raise your hand for me, and I will quickly scan through. Okay, I don't see any hand raises, so we're ready for poll E2. Okay, you should see that on the screen, and if you would please vote. And Eileen, when you have the results, please share.
Okay, we're still voting.
Okay.
All right. Here's in polling. Share results. We have 25 yes and 2 no.
Okay. So the amendment to limit consecutive terms has been adopted. Thank you. Coco, please continue.
Yes, thank you. The third recommendation from the Bylaws Committee relates to the reference that the president made earlier in her comments, which is to provide for the fact that training is going to be a specific committee, as is the Wonder Woman banquet. And this is really putting into the bylaws what we feel will be the best way to manage what are really important projects within WAN, which is both the Wonder Woman dinner and training. And this will emphasize training. And we are recommending this amendment to be approved.
Okay, thank you, Coco. So the amendment is to insert after the word meetings and other networking events, and shall chair the training subcommittee, as Coco said, to emphasize the training subcommittee, and then in section 5 of the bylaws to insert a subcommittee after the word banquet for the VP of leadership development. Again, both of these to emphasize the role of additional development, with the Wonder Woman and training as part of programs. So is there any discussion on those amendments? Okay, I don't see any hands. So if you put up poll E3, so you should see E3 in front of you, and please go ahead and vote. And Eileen, when you have the results, you can please report them.
We're still voting.
Okay.
Okay, that appears to be it. So we share results. We have 29 yes and 0 no.
Thank you. So the amendment to create a training and Wonder Woman subcommittees has been adopted. Coco, please continue.
Thank you very much. This last change is very interesting because, as the president noted in her comments, the leadership committee is taking a entirely different approach. We're establishing it as a separate committee. It's kind of a nominating committee, and it is a nominating committee, and we're giving it membership of those who are elected by the members rather than appointed. I think the Bylaws Committee felt that this was a positive change. I would note, just as a comment, that you've seen very few strikeouts in the report of the Bylaws Committee. Mostly we are perfecting and adding to what we have. And this is indeed an addition, creating a leadership committee that's chaired by the elected vice president and adding 2 members elected by the membership. And our thanks to the nominating committee for being very keen on understanding what we were doing and working with us. So, Madam President, shall this amendment recommended by the Bylaws Committee on the topic of the Leadership Committee be approved?
Okay. So the first amendment in the package is to create a leadership committee consisting of the vice president of leadership, who will serve as the chair, and then 2 members that are elected by the membership in odd numbered years to serve a 2-year term. So is there any discussion on that motion?
Madam President, I'm sorry, I neglected to address the second part of this motion, which
Okay.
is the assistance of the Leadership Committee is being offered to the chairs of the standing committees, so that the standing committee chairs will have the assistance of the Leadership Committee in seeking members for their committees. And this
Okay.
is to energize our committee structure, which has not seen the activity that it should have had. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So is there any discussion on the first part of this, which is the actual establishment of the leadership committee itself, both the chair and the 2 elected members? Okay, hearing none. And then now the second amendment that Coco mentioned, the insertion in the bylaws of with the assistance of the leadership committee to support membership for the standing committees. Is there any discussion on that amendment? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote on these amendments together. You should see poll E4 on your screen. And Eileen, when available, please share the results.
All right, we have 25 yes and 0 no.
Okay, thank you. The amendment is adopted. And Coco has one more conforming resolution to share with us.
Thank you, Madam President. And of course, it's interesting. Some of you may not know about conforming resolutions, and I would recommend that anytime you're changing the bylaws, you consider adding this to the work, that the secretary be authorized to correct article and section designations, punctuations, and cross-references, and to make such other technical and conforming changes as may be necessary to reflect the intent of the organization in connection with the adoption of any amendments. In other words, it allows the secretary to go through and make the bylaws work, make them work out without making any changes other than those which were voted on, and or conforming amendments that will allow them to renumber, etc. Thank you.
Okay. So is there any discussion on the conforming resolution? Again, let me just do a quick run through. Okay, I don't see any hands. So Eileen, if you do poll E5. Okay, you should see that on your screen if you'd please vote.
All right, let's see. We have 27 yeses and 0 no's.
Thank you. Okay, the conforming resolution passes. And so that is it for the bylaws committee. Again, thank you, Coco and committee, for the good work that you've done. We're going to move on to our next item of business, which is a report of the nominating committee, and Deb Macon, who is the VP of Leadership, will now present the report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the nominating committee are Janice Berry and Cynthia Von Ryan. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with each. The nominating committee report appears in Exhibit F of the annual meeting packet. And as a reminder, that link has been placed inside of the chat in case you'd like to see the entire report in front of you. On behalf of the nominating committee and in conformity with the annual meeting rules and the One Foundation bylaws newly adopted amendments, in a single motion, I move to elect 2 members to the Board of Directors, 6 members as officers, and 1 member to serve as member of the Leadership Committee. The process for the additional member of the Leadership Committee will be handled separately. 2 members to the Board of Directors to a 2-year term expiring in 2023, the Honorable Teresa Rich, Nicole Wells Stallworth. Officers to a 1-year term expiring 2022, President, the Honorable Nancy Philippart, Vice President of Program, the Honorable Jerry Rensselaer, Vice President of Development, Lane Sakwa, Vice President of Leadership, Janice Berry, Secretary, the Honorable Coco Seward, and Treasurer, the Honorable Eileen Pulker, and Leadership Committee member to a 2-year term expiring 2023, the Honorable Yolanda Charles. This motion is presented on the screen for your consideration. Madam Chair, when nominations from the floor are open for the additional member of the Leadership Committee, on behalf of the nominating committee, I will place 1 name in nomination.
Great. Thanks, Deb. Now, prior to voting on the motion, members may propose nominations from the floor. So should you wish to nominate yourself or a colleague for any of the positions that are shown here on the screen, please use your raise hand features. If you do choose to nominate someone, it does not require a second. And so Teller, will you please help me identify any nominations from the floor? So we're going to take these one at a time, position by position. Are there further nominations for board members for a 2-year term?
I do not see any hands.
Okay, so if there is no nomination from the floor, Honorable Teresa Rich and Nicole Wells Stallworth are nominated for member of the Board of Directors. Oh, I'm sorry, they're already there.
Hearing no further.
Yep, hearing no further nominations, nominations for the Board of Directors 2-year terms are closed. Okay, we're going to go through these one by one, so I'll go through these quickly. Are there further nominations for the office of President? If there is, please raise your hands.
I do not see any.
Okay, hearing no further nomination for President, nominations are closed. Are there further nominations for the office of Vice President of Programs?
Do not see any hands.
Okay, hearing no further nomination, Vice President of Programs nominations are closed. Are there further nominations for the office of Vice President of Development?
Do not see any hands, Madam Chair.
Okay, hearing no further nominations, the Vice President Development nominations are closed. Are there further nominations for Vice President of Leadership?
Once again, no hands.
Okay, hearing no further nomination, Vice President of Leadership nominations are closed. Are there further nominations for the office of Secretary?
No hands.
Okay, hearing no further nominations for Secretary, nominations are closed. Are there further nominations for the office of Treasurer?
No hands.
Okay, hearing no further nomination for Treasurer, nominations are closed. Are there further nominations for the position of Leadership Committee member for a 2-year term expiring 2023. There is one additional position to be filled. Okay, the chair recognizes nominating committee chair Deb Macon.
On behalf of the nominating committee, I nominate Mary Schusterbauer for the additional position as member of the leadership committee.
Okay, Mary Schusterbauer is nominated for the additional position as member of the leadership committee. Teller, will you please add her name to the Zoom voting poll?
Madam Chair, will be able to accommodate without this addition because of special circumstances, and I'll explain.
Okay. Are there any further nominations for the position of leadership committee member? Okay, are there any other hands?
No, sorry.
Okay. So if there are no further nominations, then Mary Schusterbauer is nominated for a member of the leadership committee. And so now we will close nominations for the leadership committee member. And we should see polls now starting to appear, correct, Deb?
Madam Chair, for clarification, in front of everyone is now the slate as presented. It originally began with one blank for leadership committee. The person who we are recommending to be in that role is the Honorable Mary Schusterbauer. Because there were no further nominations from the floor, motion F1 as presented exactly on the screen is in order. This would include the Honorable Mary Schusterbauer. Should these positions recommended by the One Foundation Nominating Committee be elected, and this would be Zoom poll F1.
Great. Okay, thank you for that clarification. So Zoom poll F1 should be in front of you. And if members would please vote. And Eileen, when ready, please announce the result of the vote.
All right, I think we're there. We have 28 yes and 0 no.
Okay, thank you. So given that, I declare the election of 2 members of the Board of Directors to a 2-year term expiring in 2023, the Honorable Teresa Rich and Nicole Wells Stallworth. Welcome, ladies, to the board. We look forward to having you serve. Our officers for a 1-year term expiring in 2022, President, the Honorable Nancy Philippart, the VP of Program, the Honorable Jerry Rinchler, the VP of Development, Lane Sakwa, the VP of Leadership, Janice Berry, Secretary, Honorable Coco Seward, and Treasurer, Honorable Eileen Pulker. Ladies, I look forward to serving with you this year. And then congratulations to our leadership committee members elected to a 2-year term expiring in 2023, the Honorable Yolanda Charles and the Honorable Mary Schusterbauer. So congratulations to all. Thank you in advance for your service, and a big thank you to Deb, Janice, and Cynthia for your service on the nominating committee, and a job well done. Now, with that, we are going to move on to our next agenda item, and I will introduce the Vice President of Program, Jerry Rinchler, who will introduce a new feature in our WAN Foundation events, which will spotlight our speakers. Jerry?
Thank you so much, Nancy, and congratulations to everyone who was elected just moments ago. The special guest today, we're so thrilled that they were able to join us, and thanks to all of you for being with us on this historic annual meeting. And I just want to add, I was reminded as we're talking about Wonder Woman in 2022, that will also be the 25th anniversary of the Women Officials Network. So I think that should be a very special event. So we are delighted to kick off this new segment for the Women Officials Network Foundation called Spotlight on Success. Special guests today are Dr. Jennifer Green, Superintendent, Southfield Public Schools, and Leanne Stafford, Director of Oakland County Health and Human Services. These women know a thing or two about resilience and leadership and have agreed to share insights learned over this past year. Dr. Jennifer Martin Green, Superintendent for Southfield Public Schools, where she has been a leading educator since 2017. Her experience in education spans over 26 years in public education. She has served students at all levels as a teacher, curriculum coordinator, assistant principal, assistant superintendent of academics in the Detroit, Oak Park, Ypsilanti, and other communities. Part of her success story is creating a college-going culture, resulting in securing $1.5 million for student scholarships, increase the comprehensive high school graduation rate by 20%, and reduce the dropout rate by 16%. Dr. Green has earned her doctorate at MSU in Education Leadership and her Master's of Science in Education Leadership from Wayne State University. I'm going to apologize for a shortened bio, but I know there's so much more to learn, and hopefully we will be hearing from her again. Dr. Green, could you please join us and share your insights and words of wisdom?
Good morning, all. Thank you so much for having me here today. Your passion is infectious, and I am very fortunate to be here and with Leanne, nevertheless, because Leanne and I spent a great deal of time together over this last year with the global pandemic, so I'm honored to accompany her today. Please accept my accolades. I commend all of your efforts in supporting women in leadership. That is one thing that we fail to do in many organizations. So please accept those accolades. This past year reminds me of a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., if I could quote, the true meaning of a man, or in this case, a woman, is not how he behaves or she behaves in moments of comfort and convenience, but how he or she stands at times of controversy and challenges. That is indeed what we faced this past year. We relied heavily on our partners. I was happy to hear that partnership was one of your pillars, because I did put in the chat that Southfield Public Schools is willing to partner with your organization as we move forward, and would be most fortunate to have you mentor our young ladies. So please accept that on behalf of the district. Over the past year, we again had to rely heavily on our partners and really shift our focus from that of educating children to caring for the family, caring for our children, and caring for our community. Every recommendation that we made in the past was data-driven. However, this really put a heightened importance on utilizing multiple data points before making any recommendations, increasing our EQ, and supporting those that were in need, whether or not they were children in our school district and or families in our school district. We cannibalized our buildings to provide everyone with technology. We provided hotspots for those that were without internet connectivity. We even partnered with the USDA to provide 35,000 cases of fresh produce, dairy, and protein to the entire community. Couple that with our partnership from United Way, we were able to provide PPE for all of our community as well as our seniors who were unable to come out and receive the items. We put them in our vehicles and drove the materials to their homes. So I think the word that I would use to describe this past year would be intrepid, because we had to be fearless in every decision that we made. We had to be fearless in going out into the community and keeping everyone whole throughout this very challenging time. I didn't know
Thank
how
you.
much time you wished for me to speak, and I wanted to provide ample time for Leanne and questions if they were available.
Sure, we do have a little bit of time, so if the chair permits, Madam President, could we ask if anyone has a comment or a question?
Absolutely.
Great.
If you have a comment or question, feel free to unmute yourself and make your comment or question.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I was looking for hand raising, but I couldn't find it quickly. I just want to say, as a former trustee of the Southfield Board of Education, which means I have no strings and I am not gagged by any orders, that Dr. Jennifer Green was a true godsend. When she first came to the school district, I was the board president, and we were just involved in a tumultuous time, a lot of bickering between board members and a lack of trust for the interim superintendent. And so the environment that she entered into was one of a little bit of dysfunction. We were her dysfunctional bunch for a little while there. And I'm just grateful that back in March, mid-February, Dr. Green, I want to say, was first in the country, really, in terms of forward thinking about what to do with our young people as related to this pandemic. So I have to say that I'm just grateful for her service, for her tenacity, for her youth and energy, because she really is the face of Southfield Public Schools. So I just want to say that I appreciate you, Dr. Green, and thank you so much for coming today. And I noticed you wore your Michigan State green as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for your kind words, and thank you for your leadership and service to the district. You assisted greatly in laying the foundation.
And Madam Chair, we also have one of our trustees on the call. I see she's multitasking as she typically does, Shanti, who was a new trustee and someone I've been trying to get to this meeting for months. So I'm just grateful.
Oh, welcome, Ashanti. I hope you'll continue to join us. Just a comment for me. So I'm a school board member in the Troy community. And Dr. Green, I have to say, you and your fellow superintendents were just amazing during this pandemic. The challenges beyond just, as you said, the academic challenges, but having really to be responsible for the care and nurturing of not only the whole child, but in many cases their families, because of the disruption of services, I think required Herculean efforts. And I saw, firsthand with my own superintendent, the long hours that were worked, but also the encouragement that you had and the strong leadership you had to provide to keep people going, because I know your teams worked very hard, sometimes in very difficult circumstances, sometimes in conditions that seemed, entirely overwhelming. There was so much to do. And oftentimes in the face of a very divided community. And yet you did what needed to be done, kept your focus, and did the best you could to take care of kids and their families. So you are really the heroes of the year for the work that you did. So thank you on behalf of all of us for what you've done.
Thank you. I could not have done it alone. I had an amazing team. I had an amazing governance. And it's also important to note the district was able to secure telehealth for our students throughout the entire pandemic, not only for the students, but for their families as well, particularly around the area of mental health. Many of our families, as you may be aware, were subject to the pandemic early, and our community was hit extremely hard early on with the number of cases that we had in the Southfield area. So we really wanted to put as many wraparound supports in place for our families as possible, and we're successful in doing that. So we're very grateful to all who stepped up to assist in that endeavor.
Great, thank you.
Nancy, thank you so much for your remarks. And as a former school board trustee, and I know there are other former and current trustees joining us today. And as I watched all my dear friends that I've mentored and just keep going forward with a smile on their face, considering how divided. I've never seen my former district, Birmingham, as divided as it has been for the past year. Really painful to watch from the sidelines, but a wonderful thing happened earlier in the week, and our school board with a 7-0 vote has nominated Dr. Ambika Robeson to be our incoming superintendent. So it was a wonderful thing to witness. So, and thank you so much. And I hope, you know, in the olden days, superintendents used to get this little break in the middle of the summer for about a month. And I see you shaking your head no, but please find some time to enjoy a beautiful summer. And I do see Pam Jackson's got her hand up.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry to hear about the divisiveness in the boards. I'm on the Board of Trustees at OCC, and we have come together, and between the new chancellor and his team of people and the board that's working together, we've come from a lump of coal to a diamond, OCC has. And so our board is working together fabulously. So I'm sorry to hear some of the other troubles, but we came from that direction and we're in a real positive direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. And I'm just going to say how impressed we are that the OCC board is an entire board of females. Dr. Green, it's just so wonderful to see you, have you join us this morning, and continued success. So please stay connected because we would love to have you join us again in the future.
Thank you. In closing, I would, my only advice would be to practice self-care. I fail at that task, so I'm also speaking to myself as I make that statement. I have yet to take any vacations throughout my tenure with Southfield Public Schools, and I believe that Yolanda Smith-Charles would echo those sentiments. 7 days per week for an entire 3+ years. My family deserves a vacation, so we will take some time throughout the month of July. I owe it to my family.
Yeah. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, this is Janice. I have my hand up.
Sorry, Janice.
That's okay. I just wanted to say, Dr. Green, the leadership committee will be reaching out to you to see if we can engage some of your young students in the foundation as we grow our young membership. Okay, so we will be in touch. Thank you so much.
Sign us up. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Janice. And joining us now is Leanne Stafford. Leanne was recently appointed Oakland County Director of Health and Human Services, where she oversees the Health Division, MSU Extension Office, and Neighborhood and Housing Development Divisions. And I know she does a lot more than that. Since early 2020, she has led the Health Division's response to COVID-19, coordinating with the health systems, emergency management, and other partners. Her work has focused on aligning agency initiative with community partners and addressed complex health issues. Her career in public health has spanned over 21 years in Oakland County. Among her many accomplishments is ushering in a historic partnership between Honor Community Health and Oakland County Health Department with the federally qualified health centers in Pontiac and Southfield. And when she's not working in Oakland County, Leanne teaches at the University of Michigan Flint on health information technology. So welcome, Leanne Stafford.
Thank you all for having me. And it is great to be here talking with Dr. Green as well. We have had a very tight-knit network of partners, and the school board presidents and the school district superintendents have been a big part of that. So I really appreciate it. And I really thank you all for letting me come and speak. We could spend 3 hours talking about COVID and the impacts it's had. So I just really wanted to touch on a few things, but really wanted to start. And if we all got up and told a story about COVID, it would be very different. And so the perspectives that you hear as people tell your stories or tell stories about it, it's amazing. But I think it's interesting to start the discussion about how when COVID started, we were working many, many hours, right? We were 10, 15 hours a week. A day, not a week. And so 7 days a week, we were in there many, many nights. And I remember coming back when we were still meeting in person at the very beginning of this, and I was working with what was the director at that point. And my husband called me on the phone, and he's out in the field. He's an essential service person. And he said, "We're out of toilet paper." And I know that's a joke and everybody will smile about that because I had no perspective of what people in the community were really dealing with, because what did I do? I got up and went to work every morning, right? I came home 9, 10 o'clock, and I never really understood. I didn't even have time to watch the news because, again, I was working in between when I wasn't sleeping about 4 hours. Is that I didn't understand the panic the community really is, but he is in and out of grocery stores and markets. And the panic I heard in his voice really started to form what, I realized was a real pandemic. I knew it was there. I was dealing with it in every day, but the perspective and what was going on in the community, I had missed that part. And so I joke with him, we'll never be out of toilet paper again, right? Because he was so freaked out about the toilet paper. But as a leader, I started this job about 4 years ago. And so as a leader, you're prepared for emergencies and learning and dealing, but you never prepare yourself for something like this, right? Even when you're talking about public health. And in 4 years, I joke, maybe it's me, I've dealt with a measles outbreak, a hepatitis outbreak, and now COVID. And so in 4 years, that's been the spread and a few things in there. So really, when you talk about our operation changes, when COVID started, we had a new county executive and executive team. They had only been in their roles for 6 months. And so the amazing part was their integral involvement in this from the beginning. They pulled together their network of people, their resources, and they really supported us. They were there with us in the beginning till 2 a.m., standing beside us, sitting beside us, trying to figure this out. And I think that says a lot about an executive team, because technically they could just, say, "Hey, we trust you all, you know what you're doing," and just check in with us. And they didn't do this. They stood by our sides every minute and wanted to help. They held town halls, Facebook live events, press conferences, and it really did help get information out early. And, people, kind of started to trust. They started to build this relationship with executive Coulter and me as a new health officer. And that really helped, having that connection with him and him standing in front, saying that, listen to our health department. Our county commissioners were amazing. The support that they provided us, they were a trusted voice in the community. And that really helped us, I think, gain a trusted voice. But I've heard, talk about here, such a divide through all of this. But the county commissioners came together. That support, we never saw that divide in our public health messaging. They came together as a group, and that was amazing. Oakland County is incredibly resourceful. We're lucky to have the resources and funding but having the extra funding coming from the state and federal government really allowed us to elevate our response, especially, really when we looked at staffing, because even though we're a very large health department, we have close to 400 employees. 400 employees could not get it done. This was, we almost, we needed a lot more employees than what we had. So we had to really rely on our strong network of partners. And something the health division, I think, has done very well is prior to this, really tried to develop community partnerships and coalitions. So, to tackle health problems in the community. And so when COVID hit, we quickly, could rely on our partners to help us get messages out. PPE, personal protective equipment. We all saw the shortage, but these partners came together with us to find people in the community that provided face masks and, face shields and hand sanitizer. And so they were a huge part of us trying to get that message out and, needing that information. They hosted testing sites. They're still helping us hold vaccination sites. And so it really showed us that the work we had done prior to this pandemic to create those relationships really panned out in the end. We talk about some of we really tried to work on, especially as we started to see, how certain communities of colors were impacted more heavily than us. So how could we work with those local organizations that really target those communities? And so we work with Oakland Community Health Network, Centro, Rama Worldwide, Arab American, and the Chaldean Council to really try to navigate in those communities and try to get the word out, testing out, and really try to help us work in those communities. The other thing we had to do is we had to rely on a strong team of experts. So, we all went, there were not all of us, but there were quite a few of us that went through H1N1 back in 2009. Actually, it was longer than that, not 2009, 2006 and 7. And we had an amazing mentor that started with us as we began COVID. Her name is Kathy Forsley. She's an amazing leader, woman. I'm surprised she's not on here because this would be a perfect organization for her. She's just an amazing person. And she really helped lead H1N1. So we started with that foundation, but COVID was so different than H1N1. And so there was so much we didn't know, and the information was changing so rapidly. So we really had to trust each other as a team to sit down and try to build what we thought were the best recommendations, looking at what the federal government was saying, what the state was saying, and really communicate that. And, that takes a lot of trust. We were somewhat of a new executive team together, even administrative team. Our medical director was new. He had only been there right at 6 months. So he was new. We had a lot of new administrators in the group. And so it really took us to build trust quickly to say, okay, how do we tackle this problem? Staffing. Our staff in the health division really had to step up. And we as administrators and leadership had to find a way to quickly transition, like many of us did, to remote work and actually change their responsibility, because a lot of the day-to-day stuff that we did, restaurant inspections, nursing home visits, they weren't happening anymore. And so how do we change and, train new people to do stuff? And our staff stepped up to the plate and did amazing. When you talk about, 400 people jumping in and transitioning to these new roles, it really was amazing. In addition, we had county staff that were being furloughed because their activities weren't needed anymore. And so we really added a lot of county staff so that they didn't have to be furloughed. So public health, non-public health staff coming in and having to be trained. And again, if you look at the partnership that we created across the county, it was just amazing. And then I can't, not talk about what impact it is being a working mom with kids. It was probably the biggest challenge for the past 15 months when both my husband and I are needed our jobs. I have a young daughter that was 8 years old when it started, and I had a senior in high school. And so I couldn't be home teaching them. And so it's very hard as a mom to leave knowing your kids are doing virtual school and, you're concerned about their education. And so my mom really stepped up to the plate, came in from Kentucky, and was amazing. But it was incredibly stressful because I couldn't be there. So when I talk about perspective, some people, I was many times jealous when parents would be like, oh my gosh, I had to be at home teaching my kids. And my thought process was like, oh, only if I could be at home teaching my kids, and giving that opportunity. So, but then people would say to me, you're so lucky that you didn't lose your job, right? So, I mean, it just goes back to that perspective. One item that I think I'll never forget is the day my mom was here helping us, and I was on the phone prior to leaving for work, and we started talking about, as a county, having to arrange for mobile refrigeration trucks. It will probably I'll never forget that moment, because the thought process, and my mom even says to me periodically, I can't believe my daughter ever had to think about that, right? It's never a thought that I thought I would have in this job that I would have to go through. And it kind of impacted me. At the start of this, I knew I was going to have to do everything in my power, right? And my resources and things to, really create the safest messaging for our community. And so when I look back at that day, there's times that I reflect on myself and I'm like, did I do enough? Right. I think as a leader, as a woman, we sometimes doubt ourselves. And so it's amazing to see this group of leaders and this group of women around the table, really, what I say, kind of straightening each other's crowns, right? The support here. And so that's what we found at our team too, is how do we kind of straighten each other's crowns and really get through this? And
that is a great segue, by the way, to what the spotlight on success is all about. And Leanne, to sum up, I didn't count how many times you used the word partnership and community and trust. And I think the other message I heard from you was being flexible. And I'm not going to be sexist, but I do believe women really are very good at being flexible leaders. And I have to thank you so much. I know how involved all of you were. I was so proud of our Oakland County and continue to be. You really have been leaders. I will speak for this community. I think we all felt safe in Oakland County. I was never, as an individual, frightened. And I saw that in the leaders in our schools, feeling very confident as I watched them engage. And I'm sure Nancy feels the same way, that I don't know what our schools would have done without you, let alone our municipalities. So Nancy, I don't know that we've got time for any questions. I should probably thank you so much. And we hope you will join us again, Leanne. I don't know how you can fit us in with your schedule, but thank you so very much for joining us today. Nancy, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Great. Again, thank you to both Leanne and Dr. Green for your inspiring remarks. Again, both of you, I think, epitomize resiliency and the kind of leadership that was needed to step forward in a crisis, and not only to be effective, but to do it with compassion, care, and wonderful results. So again, I hope you'll both plan on being able to join us again in the future. With that, we only have a few minutes for networking, so we are going to quickly go around the room. For those of you that don't have a hard stop, at 9 o'clock, please share, please stay on because we will go beyond 9. But for what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down my list. And if you would just very quickly introduce yourself and tell us what you do, in 20 words or less, that means we can get everybody in. And so I'm just going to start going down my list, and I'll start with Nina Abrams. If you'd introduce yourself, followed by Pam Jackson.
Nina Abrams. I'm doing a ton of volunteer work and sort of working on things in the house. I just want to say it is so good to see all of you, and I am looking forward to a meeting of nothing but hugs.
Wonderful.
Sit down and have coffee with each of you, and I'm glad we're getting back to a new kind of life.
Great. Thanks, Nina. Pam, followed by Barb Bonsignor.
Hi, Pam Jackson. I'm on the Board of Trustees of OCC. Yes, all women. And I am currently the chair, just got elected that in January. And keep your fingers crossed because I'm applying for a position of university president. So I won't know until like late fall if that's going to come about. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Barb, followed by BHS. I think that was Angel. Go ahead, Barb.
Yes, thanks. I'm Barbara Bonsignor. I'm a board member of the Michigan State Association of Parliamentarians, past Wonder Woman, and very pleased that we're going to be looking forward to another Wonder Woman event in 2022.
Great. So BHS, I think that was that Angel?
Yes.
Followed
Good
by
morning.
Coco.
Good morning. My name is Angel Lau. I am on the Bloomfield Hills Schools PTOC Council Educational Outreach. I'm also on the board of directors for Impact 100 of Oakland County, the nonprofit outreach. I am a coordinator for the Gift of Giving nonprofit, which helps Avondale youth. And I'm also an active volunteer with Make Food Not Waste and Detroit Food Rescue. Happy to be here.
Great. Thank you, Angel. Coco, followed by Denise Langford Morris. Are you there, Coco?
Good morning, and thank you for adopting all the bylaws. I'm board member of the Women Officials Network.
Great. Denise, followed by Jerry Rinchler.
Thank you, Madam President. It's an honor and privilege to be here with everyone. I'm Denise Langford Morris. I serve in the Oakland County Circuit Court Civil Criminal Division. I'm the dean of the bench. That means I'm the longest serving judge in the building. So I've been there a million years, and I've been a member of WAN a million years since its beginning. So welcome to all the new members, and it's great to see you even just virtually. I can't wait to see you in person.
Great. Thanks, Denise. Jerry, followed by Janice.
Good morning, everyone, again, and thank you all for joining us, and especially seeing so many wonderful new faces. So if you were following the bylaws, you've realized that we're going to be expanding committees and the way we reach out. So please consider joining one of our committees. I would love to have some fresh new faces with new ideas joining the program committee. So just reach out to all of us and have a wonderful summer.
Great. Janice, followed by Julia Ruffin.
Hi, I'm Janice Berry on the WAN Board of Directors, and just want to thank everybody for joining us today and look forward to a lot more to come in the future. Thank you.
Julia, followed by Lisa Brown.
Hi, my name is Julia Ruffin, and I'm a member of WAN. I work for the Oakland County Water Resource Commissioner's Office in communications and community relations. I am also a candidate for the City of Pontiac District 1 City Council. Good to see everyone.
Great, thanks, Julia. Lisa, followed by Liz Bauer.
Good morning. I'm Brown, County Clerk, Register of Deeds, and I'm with Nina with having a meeting that's just all hugs.
Great, thanks. Liz, followed by Marion McClellan.
Yeah, I'm Liz Bauer, past member of the State Board of Education and currently actively advocating for education and mental health policy. And one of my real enjoyments is serving on the treatment team for the 45th District Mental Health Court, which is really making a difference. That court is based in Oak Park and making a difference in the lives of many people.
Great, thank you, Liz. And I forgot who I said next. Who did I
Marion
call?
McClellan.
Oh, Marion, sorry. Marion followed
okay.
by Ruth Holmes.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm Marion McClellan. I am running for my 6th term as mayor of Oak Park. I'm having way too much fun to stop, and a long-term trustee of WAN. And I invite you to get active in this group and get to know these amazing women. They are competent and will help you in so many ways. Please get active. Thank you.
Thanks. Ruth, followed by Sherry Wells.
Yes, hello, everybody. So happy to see everyone. I've returned after almost 2 years in New York City on a medical crisis for a family member. I am a handwriting and document examiner, and thank Janice Berry for giving me appointment information. But my campaign now is to help train notaries who are notarizing signatures that are forged. That's my new campaign.
Great, thank you. Sherry, followed by Cheryl Mitchell-Thoreau.
Yes, I was honored by Janice Berry's phone call asking if I would consider being nominated, although I've just been too overwhelmed. But after attending all of these anti-racist seminars, I wanted to do something. So my focus, to use the word Ruth just used, is expungement laws, because we have far too many African Americans, minorities who need justice finally. And the other Sherry, I call myself Sherry the Elder, Sherry Gay Danyogo, putting forth the expungement laws before she got termed out. That's what I'm excited about.
Great, thank you. And before I turn it over to Cheryl Mitchell-Thoreau, I need to make an apology because we should have, Cheryl has been a longtime board member of WAN, and somehow we missed her when we did our introduction. So Cheryl, our apologies. So you get a little bit of extra time. And then after Cheryl will be our one of our new trustees, Teresa Rich.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And I'm a board member of WAN Foundation, as well as a former Wonder Woman. And I also want to just say congratulations to all of the newly elected and current and past board members. You did a phenomenal job in a very challenging situation, made it look like it was really easy. And so thank you, Madam President. And also I want to invite everyone to our first Juneteenth event that's going to be held in the City of Lathrup Village on June 19th, right behind City Hall in Municipal Park. And we will be recognizing our first diversity champions. And I want to thank Deb Macon for her mentoring and counseling in regards to helping us get this kicked off.
Great, thanks, Cheryl.
All right.
Teresa Rich, followed by Yolanda Charles.
Hi, everybody. Teresa Rich. Thank you to the nominating committee, to the board, and to all of you for electing me today. I am on the Oakland Schools Board of Education and have law practice in Farmington Hills.
Yolanda Charles, followed by Shelley Taub.
Good morning, Women Officials Network Foundation members. Yolanda Charles. I am currently the Oakland County Commissioner representing, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Representing portions of Southfield, portions of Oak Park, and the entire City of Lathrup Village. I do have a call to action or one ask, which is if you have anyone who might be interested in volunteering to clean up a portion of Greenfield Road. This is going to be between July 17th and July 25th. And I am, my DMs are open, as the young people say. You can also email me if that sounds like something of interest. Thank you again. And thanks for the vote of confidence.
Great, thanks, Yolanda. Shelley, followed by Eileen Polker.
I'm Shelley Taub, and I'm a very happily retired county commissioner. In addition to that, I am one of the founding mothers of this organization 25 years ago, and it's for secretary. Currently, I'm on the board of the Oakland County Literacy Council. I'm also past president of Birmingham Youth Assistance, and I continue to work in that organization. And I'm working on a new plan for the Substance Use Advisory Board. I'm on the committee for that project. And I also want to say that, you know what? I wasn't as scared about the pandemic as I might have been, because I know Leanne, and I know that she would have been would done everything in her power to keep us all safe. So thank you, Leanne, if you're still there.
Great, thanks, Shelley. Eileen, followed by Deb Macon.
Okay, I'm Eileen Polker, and I'm the very happily retired clerk from the Village of Franklin. And I thought that the attendance was great at the meeting today, and I love that everybody voted and participated in our meeting. It made it work just wonderfully. Also, I continue to serve on several boards, including this one as the treasurer, but I'm also on the Birmingham Youth Assistance Board with Shelley Taub, and on the Birmingham Next Board, which is seniors. So I get to deal with everyone in the Birmingham School District, either the young people or the older members. So it's a really fun way to spread it around. And I'm also a former Wonder Woman and looking forward to another fun-filled year with my friends.
Great, thanks, Eileen. Deb, followed by Monique.
Everyone, thank you, thank you. And by the way, once a Wonder Woman, always a Wonder Woman. Okay, please remember that.
right.
There were about half a dozen of us here who were at not only the very first meeting of both of these organizations, but at the conceptual meeting where we planned it, where we designed it, and we are living our wildest dreams from 25 years ago. Thank you, everyone. It is a pleasure to serve. One of my local police officers gave me a title, which I love, community cheerleader. It's a pleasure to be able to extend that out beyond my own community. And I will be with Cheryl at 4 o'clock in Lathrop Village on the 19th. Meet us there. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. And last but not least is Monique.
Monique will take no time at all, but simply say you guys all inspire me beyond belief. I wear many hats, but one of my favorite is helping you in any way I can. So it's such a pleasure. Thank you. Keep up the great work.
Great. So I think, I tell you, there is a real skill to be watching names as they bounce around on the participant list in Zoom. Did I get everybody? I think I did, but.
You know what, Nancy, and as you close, I have one more slide that is so important, I have to share it.
Yes, you do. So we will let Deb share her screen because this is pretty amazing. Just in closing, thank you to my fellow board members for the wonderful work and the creativity that they did in preparing for this meeting. I hope you are as excited about the coming year as I am. Again, with an amazing group of women, with all of you and your willingness to roll up your sleeves and engage, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. So let's work together and let's empower women leaders of today and mentor leaders of tomorrow. So with that,
and here we
roll
go.
The stroll.
Yes. Wonder Woman, October 22. Yay.
Yeah. So with that, we are adjourned. I guess I should have adjourned before networking, but formally. But again, thank you all for the extra time and for staying with us today and for helping us conduct the business that we needed to get done. And thank you to our two speakers for your inspiring remarks. It's women like you that I think, feed all of us to continue to do the things that we do. So we will see you in September. Please watch our website. We do have dates set up and we are in the process of getting our programming in place. The board will be doing a planning session over the summer to get ready for an action-packed year starting in September. So I hope everybody has a wonderful summer and we look forward to seeing you in a few months.
Great meeting, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.